YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my quick review on the Power Rangers Ranger Academy comic series issue 0. This was the issue given out for Free Comic Book Day. A little bit late on it because I wasn't able to go out on Free Comic Book Day. But this is going to be, like I said, a very brief review because this is literally just kind of like a preview issue, setting the stage for it. In fact, the thing I'm going to talk about most is what type of comic this is. So I'm not going to give it a score just because it's not really that type of thing to score. But basically, if you didn't know, this is a new series that's going to be telling the story of young students at this Ranger Academy. And something I didn't realize when I first reported on this coming out, is because I reported on it and honestly then I forgot it existed until a couple times I remembered. But for the most part, I forgot it existed until Free Comic Book Day. And I didn't know this from the initial release, but it's meant to be a more younger skewing series. If you're familiar with the Star Wars Adventures comic series, which is the comic series in Star Wars that's geared towards younger ages. I'm only aware of it because I was reading the High Republic ones because I'm a completionist about that era. And so the stories are going to be a lot more basic, just kind of base level, enjoyable stuff that is kind of for younger kids. Like, you pop on a generic show on Cartoon Network, 12-minute episode, that type of deal. Although those type of stories can sometimes have some cool stuff, like the Phase 1 High Republic stories for Star Wars were actually surprisingly good, with some surprisingly good characters. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily for us, the older audience, so keep that in mind. And it's funny because when I started reading this, I didn't know this, because I don't remember reading that from the initial announcement. So reading this, I'm like, this feels like a Star Wars, like High Republic Adventures story, both in terms of the tone and the style, because you don't see a single Ranger in here. Like, I was curious, like, are we going to get unique Ranger designs or something like that? And no, we just get the Academy designs we've seen in the ship. And the basic premise is, lay it down, we meet our main character, I guess, I don't know if she's going to be the main character or just the main character of this issue, but is this girl Sage, living on this planet, kind of living a Luke Skywalker farm life. She's dreaming of fun adventures of these nights that her dad told her stories of when she was younger, and then she finds a crashed ship where we meet our other characters. One of them, the name is Lula, who I think is literally a name of a Jedi in the High Republic. I think it's Phase 2, but that's probably another reason it reminded me of that. And then this other guy whose name's like whatever his name is, Mark. Whatever the dude's name is. They're very generic characters. You kind of have the wide-eyed farm girl, like I said, Luke Skywalker type backstory. The guy character, the Mathis or whatever his name is kind of like your clearly like sort of more fun comedic relief. And then Lula was just kind of there, I think, kind of to be kind of more of the straight man character that like describes everything. And she finds them crashed, and then she learns about the Ranger Academy because they make loose references like to, we're from the Ranger Academy, to become Power Rangers. And she's like, what's a Power Ranger? And then she's like, what's a Kamen Rider? They're the Defenders of Antara. And then, she helps them. She takes them back to her dad. There's a clear theme about, like, her dad's overprotective. It's really funny because there's this part at the beginning when she finds them and she sees the shadow from behind her that's like, don't help them or whatever, or, leave or whatever. And it would seem more menacing. I'm like, oh my God, does she have, like, a dark presence following her? Like, oh no, it's just her dad. So her dad's, like, way overprotective, and he says something like, oh, everyone wants to be a ranger. So clearly there's a reason he's protective of her. Maybe he knows about Rangers. That might be explored later. But it's the most basic of stuff. Girl living a simple life, wants to have more adventure. Adventures crash on her doorstep, and then she gets to take off with them because her dad helps them fix their ship, and they leave, but she stows away, clearly setting the stage for it. And there's not a whole lot we learn about anything other than the base of these characters. We learn it's a Ranger Academy to become Rangers. There's a couple dialogue beats that give you an idea of some stuff, like some trials you have to go through to be worthy to morph. They mention like the Bandorian monks, which is probably the most interesting lore bit out of this whole comic, because obviously you have Bandora, which was the name of Rita's Jew Ranger counterpart, but then it's incorporated into PR via Bandora's Palace, and recently the Bandora Protocol. So that's probably the most interesting thing. That's really all we learn that's of anything of interest, because basically everything else we learn is stuff we knew from the premise, which is it's a Ranger Academy. It seems like it's not going to be connected to SPD or any pre-registered academy at all. Like, all of the iconography is just lightning bolts. It's like the academy of the generic PR branding that Bandai's been using on their toys and stuff since the beginning, which, in a way, this is meant to be a young reader thing, which is fine, but slightly thinking missed opportunity to do some synergy between SPA and SPD and all that. But you know what? I'm also excited by the idea of introducing a new facet of the Ranger world in regards to this academy instead of just building on existing stuff. It's cool to build on lore of existing stuff, but I like the idea of something new. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I mean, honestly, it was fine for what it was. It's not my target audience. It's funny that like you have the shows targeted for kids and then you have the comics targeted towards adults, and then you dial this back for young readers, which is just kind of this funny back and forth between the audience. So I'm still going to cover it, obviously, because I'm a Power Rangers channel, and obviously I'm going to be interested to see what lore comes of it. But if you're going to check it out, you know, it's probably not going to be for you if you're an older fan, but you know, you might want to check it out, but just keep it in mind that it's not meant to be for us, kind of like the main show. So I feel like people are going to be really harsh on it. And I'm a little disappointed just that it's a kind of a High Republic Adventures type of thing. But you know, that's kind of a nice thought to bring in newer fans into this with the concept of being a ranger. And I have a feeling I'll at least be interested in the lore that it's going to bring about. So yeah, keep that in mind. I'll be interested to see what issue 1 is like. I'll be interested to see if we ever get any rangers in this. I think that the idea is meant to be more about building up to these characters being rangers, but I would be excited to see if there's going to be any unique ranger costumes in here of like existing rangers we meet. But that's about it for this one, guys. If you checked it out, let me know what you thought of it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.